sound up a little bit more, do you think? Watch this. Oh, we are really good over here. Okay.
How do I ask myself a question?
1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, music's rolling. Standing by.
How do I ask myself a question? So I'm very visual, so questions for me in biology just kind of present themselves. Sometimes you see a structure itself. So for example,
Okay, I'm rolling.
how do I ask myself a question?
Science is not. Never has been and never will be. Real life stuff.
Standing by.
I'm like using forcing one thing.
What makes the genes change? How do they respond? How is our body able to react to changes as we grow, as we get older, as we battle with disease? How can the body react? And what are the programs in the cell that change?
Change when we perturb an environment, when we're sick compared to when we're healthy. There's never been a more exciting time to do biology. Never.
How do I ask myself a question?
2, 1, 2. Okay, music's rolling.
Science is not equal. Never has been and never will be.
Yeah, so there's kind of this fall cat, tall cat.
And let's go to the next one. We'll just go forward a little bit.
How do I ask myself a question? The first question would be, well, is this data correct? Would be the first question, or just some quality control, right? Is this just complete noise? That would be the first question. And let's say if it's not, well, that's good.
We now understand the rules of the game fully, so we try to get behind it and we modify the rules themselves as we're going along.
Sometimes you just inundate it by data, thousands and thousands of variables. More and more data. More and more
What do we do in the lab? We do experiments in little tubes, and most of the time everything looks just like little drops of water, but somehow in your mind and your imagination you know that there's molecules in there doing different things, and somehow they're revealing something truthful about nature.
And let's go one more clip. Thanks.
Evolution is the only way that I can understand biology. It's not if you take evolution out of biology, then you're just left with characters without any plot.
So and so from there we start now into the story. Evolution is take evolution out of biology, you have a character without a plot, and in fact we have a character without a plot, and she takes us on our way, and we start heading into some of the more difficult territory. Up till now, a lot of the piece has just been kind of what I've been talking about, the relationship between science and art. How engaging is it? How wonderful is it that we're creative and our minds can go and we can think? Now we start heading into a little bit more dicey territory. I'd like to just do one little tiny clip and talk a little bit about that, and then we can stop and do some questions before we get into maybe a little bit about the future. I found myself drawn to sort of three of the bigger ideas. One, the nature of perfection. If we are going to be able to perfect in some ways, what does that mean? What does that do to us? Who decides that question? Which is a big one for someone who was raised first as a classical ballerina, because perfection has that as part of my ancestry, and Orthodox Jewishness is another part of my ancestry, both aiming at a kind of perfection to which I would say back was rather oppressive. Secondly, a question about aging. How long are we going to live? What do we want to live this long? What will it mean? And the third, what was just alluded to, the very question of evolution itself, and how incredible it is, how incredible it is. I thought I knew what evolution was. I didn't understand it until I began to do this work. So maybe we'll just talk a little bit about this perfection when I can just show you a brief little clip. I thought I was going to get very involved with the dwarf community. That was my plan. I was really interested in the fact that there was so much going on. You could read a lot about how in that community, a big question was whether people would want to keep their genetics going. Same in the hearing and the hearing impaired community, among some parents who want to make sure their child actually stays hearing impaired. Even the language doesn't begin to do justice to the way we talk about it, doesn't do justice to the nature of the questions. But on my way to sort of examining this, and I had there's so many things in mind how I want to do this. I did meet an amazing woman who you'll see in a minute, and I found another way to get at it. And I want to just say that if you see the whole piece, what you will have just seen before this happens is this incredible thing about the diversity of apples. If you read Michael Pond's The Botany of Desire, you know it's just incredible. But we are extremely affected by our partners. That is how artists work, or at least it's how we work. And we had a partner. We had one of our partners for the project was in Flint, Michigan, where the Mott Apple Heritage Farm is. It's not the Mott Apple family, to make it more confusing. It's the Mott people who make cars, but they have an Apple Heritage Farm in which they are trying to keep alive 25 varieties of amazing kinds of apples. And they taught us so much about diversity. You cannot believe how diverse an apple could be. So you get all that first, and then you see what would happen if a little bit what happens with grafting and through technology, which I'm not showing in this section. You get to see how it all becomes one person. It's kind of cool. Anyway, and then this happens, and I think I'll talk over this a little bit. So let's move on. Now we got to get all the way to 13 or 14. I can't remember, but let's. I can see it well enough, and I can turn off the. You're getting a fast trip through the piece. It's an old folk tale. Let's pause.